Hello and welcome to Dr. VGP Talk Show.
Eric Prabhakar Philip was born on 23rd February 1925 in Madras, the third in a total of 6 siblings. His father, Mr. E.D. Philip, was the deputy collector of Salem and a remarkable sportsman, excelling in hockey, tennis, and polo, whose traits were inherited by Eric as well. Unfortunately, tragedy struck early in Eric's life when his father passed away at the age of 46. When Eric was just 14 years old. The 6 siblings were then single-handedly raised by their mother, whose disciplined life inspired Eric's success in all facets of life. Eric believed that sports and studies were never in conflict. Rather, he believed that success in sports leads to success in studies. His life philosophy was based on harmony between the mind and the body. Eric Prabhakar received his school education at Baldwin Boys' School in Bangalore from 1936 to 1941. There, he rose to become an inter-school athletic champion and captain of the school cricket and hockey teams. He then went on to join Madras Christian College in the year 1942 in order to pursue a course in economics. In his autobiography, A Sound Mind in a Sound Body, Eric describes his time in MCC as a time of learning and preparation for the skills needed for professional life. He lived with his family in an old house in Vepari and was a day scholar as his mother could not pay for the hostel. Eric would commute to college on the electric train from Egmore to Tambaram and would carry books, sports kit, and a lunch of curd rice and beef curry with him. Eric had an outstanding record in his college athletics career, having won the college, Madras University, and All India Inter-University titles in the 100-meter and 200-meter sprints from 1942 to 1948. He finished college in 1947 with a first class in MA Economics and sat for the first IAS examination. Throughout his youth, Eric Prabhakar's mother was a pillar of support for him. Despite being widowed with 6 children and without any property, she raised her children to be well educated and healthy. In the year 1948, another seminal event occurred in Eric Prabhakar's life, along with his selection in the IAS. He qualified for the London Olympics in the 100-meter sprint event, thus representing India in its first Olympics after independence. Eric finished second in his heat and qualified for the quarterfinal. However, he could only come 6th in his quarterfinal, thus bringing his Olympic journey to an end. Eric had fond memories of his time at the Olympics. Along with his own participation as an athlete, Eric also helped the Indian hockey team in their workout. The hockey team proceeded to win their 4th consecutive gold medal, defeating Britain 4-0 in the final. This was a special victory as India had just gained its freedom from the UK barely a year ago. Eric's lasting memory from the Olympics was the message of Pierre de Coubertin, the founder of the modern Olympic Games. The Indian contingent left for India on August 15, 1948, a day after the Games had ended. However, Eric Prabhakar stayed back in England as another chapter of his life was set to begin. He was awarded the prestigious Rhodes Scholarship, which enabled him to study at Oxford University. In 1947 to 48, 2 Indians were to be selected for the Rhodes Scholarship, and the chairman of the selection committee was Sir Maurice Squire, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India. Among the various colleges at Oxford University, Eric decided to study at Christ Church, where Sir Maurice himself had studied. He now had to decide between a career in the civil service or studying at Oxford. Eric paid a visit to Oxford during the Olympics and was amazed by the university, especially Christ Church. A moral tutor, Roy F. Harrod, and an academic tutor, Hubert Henderson. Harrod was an Keynesian economist, while Henderson was a classical economist. Eric's athletic accomplishments continued in Oxford as well. His main competitor there was Nick Stacey, a fellow Olympian himself. The Oxford University athletic meet took place in February, the coldest month in England and especially hard on the man from Madras. However, Eric fought through and won the 100-yard trophy, the biggest of the cups. Furthermore, Nick and he were awarded an athletic blue, an honor bestowed for winning against Cambridge, which had the legendary Roger Bannister, the first to run a mile under 4 minutes in its ranks. Eric Prabhakar was one of the 7 Indians from Oxford to join Burma Shell. He was offered high remunerations and performed exceedingly well as the Madras divisional manager in his last 3 years, and even befriended M.V. Arunachalam of the Murugappa family. The second major shift in his career came when he joined Carborundum Universal Limited in 1952 to focus on sales and marketing. When it is thought that the race is finally over, Eric Prabhakar finds new heights to scale. In 1958, he was offered a job at UNESCO in Paris. He was made the chief of EDOPS Asia unit that was newly established, a job of high esteem. Eric Prabhakar regards Chennai as the best place for him in the entire world. He spent his mornings in the British Council Library and enjoyed reading several literary works and acquainting himself with other authors. He was also known to be a prominent author with great love for writing. His book Madeira at Sundown is a new outlook on colonial studies. It gained high praise and was reviewed in The Hindu. His second book is titled The Way to Athletic Gold and is about track and field athletics with an Indian touch. Sir Roger Bannister, neurologist and athlete, had admiringly commended the book as well as its author. His third book was written and edited alongside Sarvapalli Gopal and C.T. Kurian in honor of Malcolm Adisesha on his 80th birthday. It contained essays and reflections about him and was titled Economy, Society and Development. Even though his career scaled unimaginable heights, he remained humble and believed in giving back. He was and will always be remembered as a man of remarkable character.
Good morning. It's both an honor and privilege to be with all of you this morning at the Eric Prabhakar Centenary Conference being hosted by Madras Christian College Thambram's premier Department of Economics. This is an occasion that not only celebrates the life of a remarkable man, but also inspires us to reflect on what true leadership and discipleship and discipline mean in today's world? Before I embark on my brief remarks, I would like to bring to your attention how Eric Prabhakar's mother, Hannah Kantama Philip, and her family, her father, Reverend W.D. Clark, and her siblings, who are portrayed here in this book, the first book written by Eric Chittappa, my father's younger brother, relates to particularly, significantly, to the Madras Christian College, Tambram, Department of Economics. If you look here, this is my grandmother and Eric Chittappa's mother, Hannah Kantama Philip, her elder sister, Grace Nesama Adisesha, the mother of Dr. Malcolm Adisesha, another uncle of mine, who was the first professor and head of the Department of Economics at Madras Christian College, Tambram. You are the host guys, and Dr. Malcolm Adisesha was the professor and the HOD of the Department of Economics from 1940 to 1946, before he went on to WUS, Geneva, and become the Deputy Director General of UNESCO and set up the Madras Institute of Development Studies, all of which Eric Chittappa had his footprints on, which I will dwell in a little while later. And of course, another important member, my grandmother's brother, Satyanathan Clark, Reverend, the son of Reverend W.D. Clark, whose son, Right Reverend Sundar Clark, who's also an alumni of Madras Christian College, was the bishop of the Church of South India of Madras Diocese from 1974 to 1990. If all of you all know the history of Madras Christian College, I'm sure which you all do, it was run by the Church of Scotland. And the Bishop Sundar Clark, or whoever is the CSI Bishop of Madras Diocese, has been, till 1990, the chairman of the governing council of Madras Christian College, Tambram. But however, my godfather and uncle, Bishop Sundar Clark, before letting go of the bishopric of the CSI Madras Diocese, signed an executive order transferring the powers of the bishop of the CSI Church of Madras Diocese to a governing council headed by a layperson. I think it was Chairman K.M. Maman, who till today continues to be the chairman of Madras Christian College Governing Council. A little bit of that history and that background to again say how this family, Eric Chittappa's mom and my father's mom, Hannah Kantama Philip, her father, Reverend W. Clark, his elder daughter, Grace Adisesha, and his son, Satyanathan Clark's son, Sundar Clark, all of them have an integral part and stakeholders in the history of the nurturing of this great institution, Madras Christian College, Tambram. I would boldly say the oldest educational institution in Asia. You know, all of you all are aware, Dr. Radhakrishnan, India's president, was an alumni of Madras Christian College, Tambram. And it was on his recommendation that Dr. Malcolm Adisesha was taken into the UNESCO. And as all this would have deeper connection as we further talk about the man of the hour, Eric Prabhakar, it fills me with pride and deep emotion to speak about a man who was not only my Chittappa, my uncle, but also a towering figure in India's history. Eric Prabhakar was not just a towering figure in Indian athletics, he was also a man of all seasons, for all ages. My father, Edward Prabhakar, his elder brother, was also an IAS officer and happened to be the Principal Secretary of Higher Education for Government of Tamil Nadu. And he and Eric grew up together under the watchful eyes of a devout and determined mother, Hannah Kantama Philip. Their bond was one of mutual respect, faith, and shared discipline. As the younger generation, I've always looked up to both of them, one who shaped India's administrative and economic policies, and the other who sprinted his way into history as one of India's finest athletes and institution builders. Eric Chittappa's life is nothing short of inspiring. From school days at Baldwin Boys High School in representing India in the 1948 Olympics, he embodied the motto, sound mind in a sound body. He was not only the national champion in the 100 and 200 meters for 6 consecutive years, but also India's first Rhodes Scholar. How proud. I'm in America today, a non-resident Indian here, an Indian American. It fills my heart with joy to think my father's younger brother was the first Rhodes Scholar from India, and an Oxford Blue at that too. A rare combination of physical excellence and intellectual brilliance. After graduating from Oxford with his master's in economics, he also went into the corporate world. He was a corporate executive in Bermishal Oil Company in Chennai. He wrote the IAS in the first batch of IAS in 1948 and was accepted, but he chose to enter, in the other hand, the corporate field. From there, he moved to the TI Cycles Group Carborundum Universal as one of the directors of the company before Dr. Malcolm Adesanya, then Deputy Director General of UNESCO, handpicked him to be the chief of Asia section in UNESCO. And after that, there was no looking back for Eric Chittappa. As Malcolm Adesanya Padma Bhushan left UNESCO in 1990, I think it was in 1970, correct me if I'm wrong, 1970s. Then he became the Vice Chancellor of Madras University and Rajya Sabha member. He instituted and founded from his own funds the Madras Institute of Development Studies, which became a broad framework for institutional research and social science research, funded by his own resources. And of course, he got different scholarships and research grants into the Madras Institute of Development Studies. And when Dr. Malcolm Adesanya, after retirement of Eric Chittappa from UNESCO, he handed over the Madras Institute of Development Studies to Eric Prabhakar to be a trustee to run it for the next 2 decades. What powered him, Eric Prabhakar, the phenomenon? 3 things. 1 is faith, 2nd is obedience, and 3rd is discipline. Faith that helped Eric keep him humble. Obedience to his mother that rounded him. And discipline that made him unstoppable. Not only in the corporate field, not only in the United Nations, UNESCO, but also coming back to retirement, the way he propelled and nurtured the Madras Institute of Development Studies to be one of the premier economic research institutions in the country and Asia is simply incredible. Eric often said, excellence in sports gave him the state of being at the top. It made him want to excel in every sphere of life. That's the spirit all of us must carry forward. My father, Edward Prabhakar, too, walked the halls of this very institution, Madras Christian College, Thambram. He was in Heber Hall, and he used to tell us stories about Principal A.J. Boyd. We all grew up listening to the Prince of Principals, which Madras Christian College, Thambram, had, A.J. Boyd. I and my brother were students of Madras Christian College School in Chetpet. We had great teachers like E.D. Savrayan, Paul Roberts, and Clement Felix. My dad and Eric Chittappa, they used to be in Chandran Devanesan when he was the principal in the early 60s to 70s, a one-day cricket match between the MCC alumni and the MCC cricket team. We all used to look forward to going there. My father, of course, and Eric Chittappa was on the cricket team. My father, having been played, he was only one of the individuals who still has the record of playing for cricket for the state in Ranji Trophy, and hockey as a center forward for the state, and he also played for tennis. He was 3-1. And we used to go to these, look forward to this annual one-day MMC alumni old boys cricket match with the current MCC team. It was full of fun and vigor, along with Gemini Ganeshan, my father's contemporary, T.R. Lakshmanan, Balu Alaganan, Eric Chittappa. I hope that tradition is still continuing till this day, because that was some vibrance and reflecting back and connecting to the roots, which cannot be described in words today. If my father, Edward, represented governance and economic thought, Eric Chittappa symbolized discipline and global vision. Together, they remind us that true leadership is born when character, competence, and compassion converge. To the students here today, I say this: Eric's journey was not one of privilege, but of perseverance. At a time when India was finding its place in the world, he showed that with discipline and determination, one can stand shoulder to shoulder with the best globally. He often said that excellence in sports taught him to aim high and higher in life, a lesson that each of us can carry into our studies, our professions, and our service to society. As we inaugurate this conference on leadership and economic sustainability for inclusive economic growth and sustainable development, let us draw strength from Eric's life. The centenary of Eric Prabhakar is not just a celebration of the past, it's a challenge to all of us to live with courage, to serve with conviction, and to lead with compassion. May Eric's life remind us that true leadership is not about power, but about purpose, not about winning races alone, but about lifting others as we run. Friends, let's not just remember Eric Prabhakar. Let us run with Eric's spirit. Let us live with Eric's discipline, and let us lead with Eric's vision. Thank you all for coming together and celebrating a great Indian hero today, 100 years after he was born. I would like to thank my cousin, Satyanathan Prabhakar, who we fondly call Tambu, the second son of Eric and Saroja Prabhakar, for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and reflections about Eric Chittappa, one of my greatest heroes and mentors. God bless you all. Thank you.
Dear viewers, elevate your business to new heights and reach 35 million potential customers with Global Eye Digital. Contact us today at globaleyedigital@gmail.com or info@globaleyedigital.com. Let's take your business global.